What's up, this squad? Back with another video. Y'all seen the titles going down. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Got a lot of people saying, commenting on my last video or Karmelo and saying they ass got denied. I did see it. Had pretty much busy last few days. It's a lot, that I've explained to y'all and talked about and stuff like that. Some stuff going on. But trust and believe, I did see it. You got it right here. Brandon Tatum posted that Texas judge just denied Karmelo Anthony's request for a new trial in, suspicion of, him unaliving 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Anthony was convicted in June and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Most of y'all know. But they wanted a retrial. Me personally, I already knew that it was a possibility that he wouldn't, get it, especially based off of the things that I will be showing y'all, But I truly find it pretty wild that so many people think that this is something that's okay. It's definitely sad that you have so many people that are constantly thinking this is something that's okay, and it's truly not. It's actually truly sad, about it. Sarah Fields also posted. Make sure y'all go follow Sarah Fields. Great information always. Karmelo Anthony's motion for a retrial has been denied. Judge Michael Chitty has denied the defense request after the 2-day hearing. So it was today's. And me personally, again, after seeing everything, possibly that was on it, on Karmelo and what happened within it, trust and believe. Kind of already seen that coming. Lee Merritt posted and said the motion for a new trial was denied, but our fight for Karmelo Anthony is far from over. Now you have it right here. It says justice does not stop at a verdict. We will pursue every available legal avenue for Karmelo. So you see it that these individuals are truly still pushing for Karmelo Anthony, and it's truly wrong. It's definitely wrong of what they're doing and how they're doing it. They're obviously not seeing, a lot of what's going on. And being in denial about it, because what I'm seeing is a simple fact that Karmelo did something and he has to face those consequences at the end of the day. But clearly you have a lot of people that's in denial about this, and it's truly sickening on how they are. You have right here this Sippy Cup, that has posted so Karmelo Anthony hearing update, and it, of course, was denied. You have right here says this day, and you got the August 20 through 21. Came on to be heard, defendant's motion for a new trial. Then up under that, you got the evidence and argument. Upon reviewing the motion, the record, the briefs, and the relevant case law, the court has determined that the motion should be denied. Motion for a new trial is denied. You have it right here, signed August 22nd, 2026. And you have it right here. This is something that, you truly see, and you if people actually paid attention. Once, I feel like, first of all, let's start right here. Before we get into everything else, think about this. And I'm going to be going over it too. You got, based off of the video, the body cam video, then you got Karmelo parents. You have them doing what they doing. You have people making up things that's obviously not true after seeing all the facts that was placed. You're seeing all these things happen. And if we are seeing it, trust and believe everybody else is seeing the same thing, including the judges. So when you're seeing those things happen, when you're seeing all this history of this, that, when you're seeing the history of and we're going to talk about it, Karmelo growing up, you're seeing these things happen. They feel like 35 years is a fit. Now, let me tell y'all something. They're really lucky. They're really lucky that things didn't go that way. Because I feel like even if they did and it was another trial, it would have been worse. It truly would have. And I say that because seeing how, his history leading up from back when he was 5-6 years old in school, leading all the way up till now and what he has done. So actually seeing this and reading on things that he has done growing up, seeing his dad history and his rap sheet, it clearly shows y'all a lot. People have to learn to stop being in denial. If y'all have all this energy for somebody that, has actually did something, Like, have that energy for these younger individuals that are into, all this violence or has lost their life due to this violence, and help the community out. Talk with the community because this stuff is definitely, important. And notice I didn't say just the black community. I'm just speaking in general for all the younger generation, and I feel like that's something that's definitely important for people to talk about. One thing about it is that it starts with the parents. It truly does. A lot of people need to stop looking so much for the money and actually look into these kids and their future because they are the future. And having stuff like this and thinking that this is something that's okay, y'all are not doing nothing but enabling other kids to think that this is something that's okay. And it's truly not. Check it out, Fox News.
You can appeal this through the Texas courts. And ultimately, if you notice, the gripes, for lack of a better term, that they put in their petition, they're constitutional. What does that mean? That means this whole thing at some point is going to end up in federal court. It'll take a while, but I think that that's going to be the end game. This will be ongoing. That is my prediction for a while, but I do think the conviction will hold up.
How damaging, in your view, were the messages from Karmelo Anthony's own phone regarding his temper?
Well, they certainly didn't help, and I think that it goes to this issue of him taking this stand, because they didn't want that particular material to emerge. And even if you accept the idea that this gentleman's agreement was also done to protect the deceased, that they didn't want him dragged through the mud because he is the victim here undeniably, there's absolutely no comparison between maybe some social media posts that Metcalf had done and the fact that prior to stab, can appeal this through the Texas courts.
Let me tell y'all something. Regardless of it, I look at the simple fact, however it was going to go, Karmelo Anthony and him being in trouble just showed, a lot. They said that they wouldn't bring that up, the first time with this history. They wouldn't bring nothing up, both sides. They want to keep it as clear as possible. This is what happened. Here's this, here's that. Seeing the things that has happened with Karmelo is pretty crazy. You got Karmelo Anthony stalking his girlfriend who had broken up with him the day that he did that to Austin. Per the Collin County prosecutor, the morning of, the stabbing, Karmelo sent a text reading he was low-key on the verge. So how do y'all think that's possibly going to hold up? Sending a text reading the morning of this that he was low-key on the verge. I mean, come on, y'all. A lot of this, me personally, I feel like is one of those things of planning something, planning to do something. Another one was him fantasizing about some nasty stuff, that I can't even, repeat on here. Prosecutor also claimed that Anthony was obsessed with fights, guns, and knives. Not only that, you've seen multiple videos that I posted myself of classmates even saying that he was known for fighting. So, I mean, that should tell y'all a lot. Says Karmelo Anthony is back in court as his lawyers attempt to request, that new trial. But then again, y'all know, you got to not. Have it right here. This is ex-girlfriend. People are now pretty mad at her because she had posted a TikTok saying, "Hold your head up high, my sweet boy." She continued, "You are not alone. We're fighting for you always." We have to remember, these are youngins. So with youngins, they're going to do stuff like that. One of the things is they're going to tell the truth. Truth is going to come out regardless. I feel like so many people look at the simple fact, they're not going to snitch. They're not going to say this. They're not going to say that. What a lot of people don't understand is well over 90% of people that are going into something, they usually snitch. And that's honestly, and she, in a sense, not. I'm going to say, obviously not getting arrested or anything like that. But then again, she's going to say regardless of what's going on. She probably does feel saddened about the situation regardless because, again, they did date, obviously. So we cannot forget that as well. They did date at the end of the day. You have it right here. It says Karmelo Anthony had a history of, when it comes down to people and, the assaults that's going down, meaning the fighting and all of that, throughout school. Records go back all the way since, like I said, 6-7 years old, according to the prosecutor. Anthony was living in Louisiana prior to moving to Texas, which I explained to y'all. Like I said, his parents even stated, that wanted a better life for him. And I feel like, again, that should tell y'all pretty much everything. him doing this since he was 6, 7 years old, them want a better life, seeing if things can change, and clearly not. It looks like things have gotten worse. And like I always say, it starts with the parents. And I know we can't always do everything possibly when it comes down to our kids. But then again, we can try. We can try to do our best, and when you're having a lot of this, and again, the whole thing with phones, I see that with phones. I know a lot of these young teens and stuff like that, they want they space, but I feel like if you're having trouble and you're going through things, I feel like it definitely is important to talk to your kids and not push it off. I know a lot of us get busy. I know a lot of us have a lot to do, but one thing about it, we got kids, they have thoughts, they have minds, they have brains, that they wonder about things. They go through things, they're human. So it's definitely important for us, to be able to do that, us having kids. And if you don't have kids, you got nieces and nephews, I know, you don't want to overstep with things, but it's definitely important. A lot of these kids now, they definitely need, those talks. They need those things, and I feel like that's one of the things that you definitely do. I definitely hate it for the Metcalf family, and I do hate it for Carmelo Anthony's family. Just for the simple fact of what has happened. I truly do. I feel like a lot of things could have been avoided. Carmelo just went somewhere else. I feel like that's something that could have been avoided, and he wouldn't be after sitting, for 35 years. But being real, he did that, and he has to face those consequences, and that's what people got to understand. Says he allegedly hit another student after being asked several times to keep his hands to himself. So again, being asked, keep his hands to himself, being asked to leave, y'all see what has happened. People got to think about those things. I know a lot of times that, we tend to get frustrated, but you got to control that. You got to control that, and I feel like this more so should be set as more of an example. I feel like this is actually a really good example of somebody that was troubled as a kid leading up to, adult age, and seeing where that, and I know this is, not the first time it's happened, but truly seeing how they have made this a big thing. This is definitely something I feel that should be more so an example, a great example at that. And I feel like it's something of his parents of doing something about that and changing things around. And it's not too late. I don't feel like it's not too late. Yes, they said some things. Yes, they did some things. And it's not me taking up, for him at all. Because I feel like the things they have done, the things they have said is definitely ridiculous. But at the same time, I look at the simple fact that they can turn things around. And me personally, I feel they could do things and I know it's hard to say, but this is more of an example, of talking about things, and putting things, or just somebody in general. This is something that shouldn't happen. This is something that, regardless, let's take race out of it. I feel like that's a big thing. Stop putting race on everything. This is a bad situation. He has to face those consequences at the end of the day. Says he was when he was 10 years old. He was placed in LSU Psych Department's behavioral plan. So, again, you're having stuff like that. These things are definitely important. It was just an incident in 2021. They're going to say it's a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago. It involved a teacher. I mean, these are things that people truly have to pay attention to. I'm telling y'all. It's a rap sheet of this, and things like this, it definitely doesn't look good, and see more so of why things were denied, but y'all see they're still pushing forward, which is definitely insane. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.